Well, hey there, you're on the internet, I have some free time, and welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's look at an ink today, shall we? Now, today's ink, I have in sample form. It's by Diamine, Imperial Purple. And it is so very purple. Yep. Now, the thing is, I actually couldn't find anything quite like this purple. So, yeah, here's Imperial Purple here. And then here's Noodler's Purple, which maybe just has a touch more blue in it and is just a tiny bit darker. And here's Bay State Concord Grape, which definitely has a bit more blue in it and is a bit darker. But honestly, these were the two closest things I could find. And if you knew how many swatches I had, you'd realize just how insane that is, which is weird, because you look at this and you think, yeah, that's purple. It's totally purple. It's a purple purple. Strange. Anyways, the pen I used was this JinHao X750 with just sort of the standard medium nib. It's a very medium. It's not wet, it's not dry, it's not broad, it's not fine. It's medium. Now let's check out the chromatography, which is interesting. You can definitely see where the initial drop was put. If my camera will ever focus on the things I want it to, that'd be nice. And then it's more of a pinky purple, and then you get more of a bluish purple up at the top. Now, I let it dry, which is not how you're supposed to do it, but the dot got darker. There's a bit more blue to this purple, and what's up at the top is sort of thinner. So that's interesting. Now, paper test. Top down in density, Clairefontaine, 90 grams per square meter. I shall endeavor to hold this still so you can get a look. It's purple, right? Now, you do get some shading, and the thing is, this isn't a thin ink. It's got a richness to it. It does not look watery, which I like, because a lot of times in order to get good shading, it ends up looking watery. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to get this on camera, but oh, yep, there we go. See that gold sheen in the scrubby? Yeah. Now, the flow on this is about a 6 out of 10. I would say that it's wet, but just a little wet. So 20 seconds to dry on such dense paper and such a saturated ink. I'm not shocked. I'll take it. It's a very lovely purple color. It's, it's well behaved. There's no bleed, no feather, no spread, no echo. All good in that regard. But again, because of that saturation, it does tend to make a bit of a mess. Once you get it wet again, you're just smearing that color around. But what's at the center is very clear and very dark, so if you don't mind looking through that haze, you probably could recover that. Next up is Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter, where, again, get a little bit of gold sheen, and you see it sort of in a tiny little halo in occasional places around the wettest parts. In the writing, it's just easiest to show it on camera in the scrubby. Now, again, 20 seconds to dry, which makes sense, because this is a medium nib, this is very dense paper, it's fairly saturated, the flow's slightly wet. It's a lovely purple. You do get some shading. It's very nice. No bleed, no feather, no spread. And I'd say there wasn't any echo, but again, it always depends on your definition. I mean, the camera is really bright, the light. But here, oddly, the water test was not as effective. It did make a big mess, but also what remained was lighter than on the Clairefontaine, so I don't know what's going on there, but I don't know. I don't know how easy that would be to recover. Now, next up is Tomoe River, which is known for bringing out shading and bringing out sheen, which it most certainly did. You can see that, and oh, look at that halo. And in that halo, ta-da! Man, look at all that gold. I mean, it's everywhere, and it's lovely, and it doesn't look thin. It's well saturated without feeling oversaturated and dense and heavy. It's really nice. Now, this paper does draw out dry times, and again, it's slightly wet, it's a medium, etc., etc. 23 seconds to dry is not surprising. Do I wish it was better? Yes, in an ideal world, it would dry instantly, but let's be real. Now, you do get a slight halo effect in the writing as well, but it's very, it's like microscopic. So, I don't know. If you're like me and you love that, that's great, but still. Now, this paper loves to let ink slide away when you add more water, which it did here. It made a mess and made a big puddle, and what's at the center is actually kind of light and not the easiest thing to read. Now, this is, I'd say, a medium dark purple, and this is obscenely thin paper. So if you are very sensitive to echo, writing on both sides might not be the most comfortable thing in the world, but then you'll miss out on all that. Anyways, next up, world's worst 20-pound copier paper. Or so I thought. I mean, if you've seen any of my other tests, you know that this paper is just horrendous. But the thing is, they're spread, but not as much as I was expecting. And there's not really much feathering. There's a teeny bit, but really not much. It took 3 seconds to dry, but I mean, that's okay. But then there was no bleed. If you've seen any of my other tests with this paper, usually there's like bleed everywhere. Just bleed, bleed, bleed. No. So I don't know what's going on here. Magic? I don't know. It was well behaved. I don't know if that's normal, because it still behaved like normal on other tests. Something strange happening. But anyways, this is more absorbent paper. It tends to suck the ink in, so it makes it harder to wash out, because that is very clear and very dark, and even that didn't bleed so much. It did dye the page a bit, and it did, I mean, this paper hates water, but yeah, so if you had to recover that, you absolutely could. Next up is Mead Notebook Paper, where this behaved more like I thought it was going to. But yeah, 2 seconds to dry, still a very bold purple. You don't get any shading. You do get a bit of spread, but not quite as much as I would have anticipated with the copier paper. It did make a mess. Again, you know, it absorbs it, makes it harder to wash out, but it also kind of feathered and exploded. It did dye the paper. Now, this is, physically, the paper is thinner than 20-pound copier paper. So the fact that you've got a medium nib on cheap paper, and then it's a wet ink, and it's thin, I mean, you don't get full bleed through, but you get show through. So if you had to write on both sides. Now, lastly is Moleskine notebook paper, which I hate, because it hates ink, and I don't understand what's going on. But weird stuff happened here. You get shading, which is odd for an absorbent paper, but also it took 12 seconds to dry. What the heck is going on? I don't know. Anyways, you do get feathering. I'm going to try and hold this still so you can see. So you get feathering, you get a woolly texture. It's not great. However, the vibrancy of this shade of purple was maintained, so that's cool. And there wasn't nearly as much bleed as I would have thought, because a lot of times this will be the first stuff to bleed. There's some nearly visible from the other side stuff all throughout, but still. And this paper hates ink and it hates water, so ink and water equals bad times. So it feathered, it exploded, it started to overlap, it dyed the page. That would be the opposite of fun to try and recover. Yep. So, there you go. There's Diamine's Imperial Purple. It is, while being just such a straightforward look at it, think purple, shade of purple, I don't have anything quite like it. And the contrast of that purple with the gold sheen is just so lovely. It is quite saturated. It did not dye the sack in a Hero 616, but you know, you just want to be diligent. You want to clean it out. Yeah, it cast a strange magic spell on my 20-pound copier paper. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, if you like this ink, if you use it a lot, can you tell me if that's normal for 20-pound copier paper? I am suspicious as of right now. But, yeah, so for your consideration from the Triple N Network, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching. Bye.